Green Day and Rancid were bands that I always liked and respected, and I always loved their bangers. I had, I believe, 4 Green Day songs that I truly loved. J.A.R., Redundant, Waiting, and there's another one, I believe. That might have been it, actually. Waiting. Yeah, I think that was it. 3 songs. Rancid, I loved Ruby Soho, Roots Radicals, New Dress, and Blood Clot. 4 songs. For some reason, probably because my brain was clearing up and I felt more open instinctually, I threw on Rancid's Life Won't Wait, which was a record. Coppers, the closing track off Life Won't Wait. That was another Rancid song that I always loved. So because of tracks like that, like New Dress and Coppers, that album always intrigued me. But again, I had this rigid perfectionism in my brain, and I dismissed most of the album, most of Rancid's catalog, and also most of Green Day's catalog as being essentially full of glorified filler. So I threw on Life Won't Wait, and immediately, I think it was the track, let me throw this on. Wait, here it is. I believe it was Hoover Street. Not a hooky song. Yeah. That's pretty catchy, but bit of a spoken word verse. Very cool, but not immediate and catchy to the ear. But as my ear is opened up, I started listening to this, and I couldn't even explain exactly why, but I was responding to it. I mean, with the OCD perfectionism that still existed and does still exist in my brain, I even thought to myself, objectively, I don't think this is a good composition, or it's not bad, but it's not a great composition. But yet I like it, and I like it a lot. That's amazing. It's also amazing that I can take a break from my natural analytical tendencies and just kind of be, I don't know, stupid, mindless for a bit, and just say, hey, I'm really digging this song Hoover Street, even though I can't explain why. What joy and freedom to be able to feel that way, especially about something that I love so much, music. So I kept digging into Life Won't Wait, and man, oh man, Black Lung. Talk about immediacy. What a great hook. What a great riff. Black Lung, the title track, which I always found interesting in the past, but ultimately didn't really respond to. And now I love it so much. The weirdness, the originality of the song. You know, and this is something about Life Won't Wait overall that I really love. It's a great mashup of a lot of different styles. Like this has a heavy dose of reggae. That was Lars Frederiksen. That's Tim Armstrong. They're kind of rapping in the verses. And then there's I believe a Jamaican rapper who does a rap. A rap in the middle of this song. Yeah, so it's essentially, I don't know, a rap, punk, rock and roll, reggae mashup. I think that's amazing, and most importantly, I'm subjectively responding to it. You know, I love the intensity of this. So I decided, wow, not only do I love Life Won't Wait now, I think it's a bit of a masterpiece. I started calling it the punk rock exile on Main Street. Where a band, an amazing band, is in such a fertile and inspired creative space that they're not so strictly, rigidly focused on perfectionism. They're not giving into their perfectionism, and they're just making music, and they're just realizing the abundance of ideas they have. And what you get from that approach during such a creatively fertile period, you get, in Rancid's case, a 22-song album. Because they're a punk rock band, somehow it's only an hour and 4 minutes, 22 songs. And the Rolling Stones case, for those times, on vinyl, you got a legitimate double album. And yeah, in both cases, regarding Exile and Life Won't Wait, if you want to be OCD perfectionist, you could pick it apart and say, it's a bit messy, a bit too raw. Some of the compositions and hooks could have been crafted a bit better. But what I'm realizing now is that's a really inaccurate and to the music and the artist an unfair way to look at this. What really I subjectively respond to these days is music that sounds inspired, and yeah, for me to subjectively respond to it, it's got to achieve some level of awesomeness as well. But Exile and Life Won't Wait clearly achieve high levels of awesomeness and musical greatness. And the rawness and the loose ends of both those records, to me, just adds to the greatness of the music. And if they rigidly crafted both those records as someone like Billy Corgan did for Melancholy and The Infinite Sadness, and that approach worked brilliantly, amazingly well for an album like Melancholy. But for these records, considering that the Stones and Rancid especially are pretty scrappy bands, you don't want to knock out, I can't think of the right word, you don't want to temper that rawness. You want to embrace it. And just as Billy did with Melancholy, where he dug deep into composition and craft and found the best version of himself on that album, and also recently on his masterpiece Autumn, Rancid and the Stones, they found the best versions of themselves through taking a bit different approach and embracing the looseness and rawness of their creative process. So yeah, I thought, wow, like, I was not hearing this. If I was deaf to how great this music was in the past, referring to Life Won't Wait.